I want to tell you that I moved to Texas for a reason, and the reason is there's freedom here. And I believe this is, if we lose Texas, we lose the country. I'm going to introduce you here to the Texas Attorney General and gubernatorial candidate for the state of Texas. Normally we wouldn't have a governor of a state on, but really, this really is. We lose Texas, we lose the Republic of America. Welcome. How are you, sir?
Glenn, I'm doing great. Great
Good.
to be with you. Thanks.
Do you see it the same way, that as Texas goes, so goes the country?
Oh, precisely. And it's a great concern. You know, what we're talking about really isn't a campaign for governor. This is a fight and struggle for the future of America and the future of freedom. Because we have in this race in Texas right now, we have the Obama regime coming in here trying to reconstruct the way that Texas goes about its daily business. Texas is different than the rest of the country.
Well, it's created half of all of the jobs. 49 other states, we created half, or maybe even over half of all the jobs in recovery, right?
And that's correct, and there's a reason for it. There's a reason why 1,400 people move to the state of Texas every day.
We got to stop that.
They're all conservative. But they do that in search of freedom. The people in America from the day of the Declaration of Independence to today have hungered for independence. In Texas, we cherish it. It is part of who we are. We champion it, whether it be in court, our lifestyles, or government. So this fight is about making sure Texas stays on the pathway of individual freedom.
You have described your job as the Attorney General. You have described your job as, I get up in the morning and I file a lawsuit against the Obama administration and go home. But you have been fighting all of this stuff. But now we are seeing such an influx of money from the rest of the country coming directly here into Texas to do to Texas what they did to California and to Colorado. And I don't see Texans freaking out about that at all. They should. They should be wide awake. Do you think Texans are awake yet?
I think that when reports came out showing that the Democrat in the race for governor had received millions of dollars from around the country, from places like California, New York, Washington, D.C., from the liberal enclaves, when you see the danger about trying to change Texas to be in the form like this. Like an easy example, someone who is helping out the Democrat here is Elizabeth Warren. We see the pathway that Elizabeth Warren wants to take America. That's the pathway that people like her want to reshape Texas in. If Texas goes down that pathway,
but they're doing the same thing. I mean, I have really honestly said, because I really truly believe it. We need to gather together and then push back out. And I've asked people, if you believe in these values and you want freedom, you come to Texas. You get your sea legs and we push back out. But they are doing pretty much the same thing. They are now telling people, move to Texas, and they are trying to take over all of our towns. I mean, a real hotbed is the state capital of Austin. It's turning into a nightmare.
Well, we call it a blueberry and a bowl of strawberries, because the rest of the state is red with that big blue dot in the middle. But the blue represents what this battleground is all about. They call it Turn Texas Blue in Battleground Texas, where the forces from Washington, D.C. are trying to impose the big government style here in Texas. And we know the more government there is, the less liberty you have.
And this is why you're asking people to donate from all over the country, if you will, because they have millions of dollars flowing in.
Well, Texans don't support that brand of liberalism or big government. People from other states do, which is why the money has to flow in from the other states to the Democratic candidate.
So when Cuomo said a couple of weeks ago, there's no place in our state for, your kind of politics. Do you believe that? Would you ever say anything like that on the other side, that there's no place for people who are liberal or have a different point of view?
I've said the opposite, and that is, first, when Cuomo, a year ago, tried to rid his state of people who had guns, I took out an ad in papers and periodicals and online in New York advertising for those New Yorkers to come to the state of Texas because we will embrace you. Other Texans have reached out to New Yorkers who were being forced out of the state by their governor because the governor is against anyone who believes in the sanctity of life. We embrace everyone because we know there's one thing that lifts above all, and that's the freedom that we fight for every day.
So there's room for people who are pro-choice in Texas?
We will not exclude anyone. We know that in our state, though, Texas is a state that embraces life. And we see more and more people change from being pro-choice to pro-life in Texas when they see things like a sonogram.
Yeah.
When they see things
I think that's
that are
one of the best things
revelatory about the power of life.
Okay. Rick Perry, at one point, we've been talking about the economy, and I think the economy is in shambles, and now we're doing my IRA, or my RA, which is the government saying, hey, give us your IRA and your 401k, and we'll invest it for you and give it. It's a giant scam. And Rick said he was going to bring the gold back, and then it just kind of fell away. Germany asked for their gold back, and it just kind of fell away. We ever going to get our gold back?
I don't know. I need to find out. I remember when the governor raised that issue about a year ago, and it did seem to drop off the radar.
And the only reason why I say that is because the only way you actually are able to stand if everything else collapses is if you're pretty self-sufficient. That doesn't mean you hoard or anything else, but you have to be able to stand yourself. And I know we have the resources to stand and everything else, but what happens?
But you raise a good point that brings all this together. You talked about the importance of being self-sufficient. One way that you can be self-sufficient is not having government try to take care of every aspect of your life. The way we do that in Texas is we limit the size of government, and that elevates the role of the individual in governing their own lives.
Wendy Davis is the person who's running against you. And I mean, it's almost like it's not even serious because she's so out of step. But when you understand what they're trying to do, they're trying to put all these millions into the state. It's not for this one. It's for the next one and the next one. And we have got to stop it dead in its tracks. I knew she was pro-choice, but she's not pro-choice. She is so far beyond, hey, incest and rape, we understand. It's way beyond that.
She filibustered a law for the purpose of protecting late-term abortion. This is way beyond where even the country of France is on the issue, way beyond where most states are on the issue. She made one comment. It's hard to fully connect the two dots, but it seemed like she said, quote, she's standing on sacred ground to protect late-term abortion.
Okay. And the bill that she was filibustering was to actually stop abortions once the baby could feel pain.
Feels pain after 5 months of pregnancy, when an abortion would take place, when there would be signs or indications that the baby, 5 months in gestation, would feel the pain of that abortion. Wendy Davis took the position that that was okay.
Okay, I only have 30 seconds, but I have to ask you this. How's your soul?
My soul is strong because I believe in God.
How's your wife?
My wife is fabulous. My wife is the rock of Gibraltar for me. My wife is going to be the first Latina First Lady in the history of Texas.
Good to see you, sir.
You too. Thank you, Glenn.
Back in just a minute.